6:38, April 12th, 2016. This is the Finance Committee meeting for the City of East Cleveland. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Thomas.
Present.
Councilor Martin.
Present.
Councilor Vice President King.
Present.
And acknowledging Law Director Williams. Present. And Finance Director Jack Johnson.
Present. Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the 2016 budget with our Finance Director. And kind of wish we'd had a joint meeting. Did you see the firemen when you were coming in?
I didn't, no.
Okay, they were walking out. So if you could just go over some of the highlights of the new budget, as well as projections and forecasts.
Can I ask one question? That he explained that 2230 that Mr. Irby, I didn't want to call the wrong name. Mr. Irby just mentioned when you go over it. Okay.
That was what was
2230. He said that it was.
What's 2230?
Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
Hey, oh, you know, we can suspend Robert's rules, so we can just have a conversation. I like that better anyway.
So your question's going to be answered, Mr. Irby. All right. Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'll have to apologize for not being able to make the council committee, the council meeting when the formal budget was adopted on March 31st. I had a previous engagement that I could not cancel, and therefore couldn't make it to that March 31st meeting. I understand that Mr. Smedley gave a brief chronology of events over the last several years, which I think was, from what I understand, was fairly accurate. Let's get into the 2016 budget. I sent a cover memo to City Council on April, well, this is dated April 12th, but it's actually hopefully got to City Council before that March 31st meeting, where we talk about the permanent appropriation for 2016. The fiscal recovery plan that was adopted by City Council in October of 2015 outlines the limits of appropriation that we would have to make and the cuts that we would have to make for 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19. The fiscal recovery plan, as a condition of being in fiscal emergency, we have to have a fiscal recovery plan, and that fiscal recovery plan is required to contain a 5-year cash flow projection. And in the latest version of the plan that was adopted in 2015, there's a 5-year cash flow projection as it's required. In that cash flow projection, we were required for 2016 to reduce spending by $785,000. That's for 2016. In 2017, we're going to have to reduce by an additional $961,000. That's almost $1 million. And then in 2018 and 19, in both of those years, we will have to reduce by another $2.687 million. It's almost $2.7 million a year for those last 2 years. So the cuts that we had to make in 2016, while they have garnered quite a bit of attention from the news media, are just the beginning of what we are going to have to do in 2017, 18, and 19. To address Mr. Irby's question, the EMS fund, which all of the revenue that's generated in that fund is the charges that, the revenue that we get are the charges for EMS runs. So whenever we send the squad out and we bill their insurance, or we bill Medicare and Medicaid, and we get paid by Medicare and Medicaid for those ambulance runs, that money goes into that fund. Those funds are used to fund a part, only a part of the total of the fire department operations. The fire department operations consists of fire prevention, fire suppression, and EMS. So those funds account for a part of the total fire department operations. The balance of the fire department operations comes out of the general fund. And when I had mentioned earlier about the reductions that we have to make, that's in the general fund. So what happens is that we've made cuts in the general fund and in the EMS fund so that we can accommodate what's going to be required in the plan. So what happens is a lot of the part-timers were charged to this EMS fund because they were paramedics, EMS paramedics. So what we will do is charge some of the full-time paramedics to this fund now, so that we could accommodate the reductions that we had to do in the general fund. In addition to eliminating all the part-timers in the fire department, we've had to eliminate the balance of overtime in the fire department. Typically, the overtime in the fire department runs, last year was $206,000, just overtime. In prior years, it was higher than that. So we've eliminated all of the overtime, although we did incur about $50,000 worth between January and April before we instituted these changes. We have incurred about $50,000 worth of overtime, so we have to account for that. In addition, we have to account for, you know, when these people leave, if they have any paid time off on the books, we have to pay them. If they apply for unemployment and they are successful in getting unemployment and they're not re-employed, we have to pay their unemployment. So we have to take all of that into consideration when we're talking about making these cuts.
Does that, can I, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, well,
Okay. When you say that, and you're talking about what comes out of where, does that mean that all the other pieces of people leaving, unemployment and all of that comes out of that fund, or does it come out of the general fund?
If they are normally charged to the general fund, it comes out of the general fund.
Okay. But if they are charged, how would I know they're charged out of the other fund? Now you got the part-timers that are gone. So if X amount of full-timers now are charged in the general fund, because you say now some of the full-timers will be charged out of the general fund.
EMS fund.
EMS fund.
Correct.
Is that general fund in the EMS? Or
No.
the full-time? In the EMS fund, right now, that's aside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've taken away the part-timers.
Correct. Okay.
So then you said some of the full-timers will have to be accounted for out of the general fund.
No, out of the EMS fund.
Out of
What we're gonna do is there were already some full-timers in the EMS fund in addition to the part-timers.
Okay,
So what we had to do was, as we got rid of all the part-timers,
okay,
we're moving some of the full-timers down to the EMS fund too, just so we can, just to make this whole thing work.
Okay,
And in addition to that, we had to eliminate all of the overtime
okay,
in the fire department.
I understand that. So now no overtime regardless of what happened.
Correct. Although we have incurred $50,000 worth up to the time that the budget was put in place.
Okay.
Because we had a temporary budget from January to March. So after the new budget was put in place, we have overtime from January to March. In addition to that, we're eliminating a position in the finance department.
Okay.
So when you add all of that up, it comes to about $780,000. $250,000 or so in the overtime, another $242,000 in eliminating all of the part-timers, and about another $45,000 in the position we're eliminating in the finance department. So the reason why we're doing it is because we're required to do that, and we're required to reduce expenditures so that we're in compliance with the plan. A part of the problem that we encountered was we were not allowed to include camera ticket revenue. Last year, we received about $450,000 in camera ticket revenue, which we were not allowed to include in this year's budget.
Now,
We're not allowed to include a projection for this year's budget.
now let me ask you this question.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. Now, we, and I'm gonna have to go back a little bit if we have, you know, we had a certain, structure that was put in place that we had to deal with, and tell me if I'm off the beam, that we had to come up with 50% or so many percentage before we would start getting our monies from the company. Now, are we now getting the money, or, because they had stopped at one point?
Right.
So, how much of that money did we get, or did we not get any last year?
Last year, we got $450,000. Well, actually, I think last year, we got $647,000.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We got $647,000 last year. But
okay.
they won't allow us to count it this year.
Okay, if we got that amount, did that mean that we came up to the percentage of tickets that we needed to deal with, or revenue that we needed to deal with, ATS and all of that? Am I asking the right question?
I'm not real sure. We collect about 38% of all the citations that are issued. So we collect less than half, much less than half of all the citations that are issued.
And that is because?
People don't pay.
Okay, what about the issue of that even though people don't pay, that is where that percentage has to come up to in that area. Now, we are at the point now that under the law, we're not supposed to be collecting the monies. And therefore, our constituents have heard of that. So some of them, not all of them, most of them, are withholding that amount of money. Okay? Am I correct? Not.
I don't talk to your constituents. So.
Nah, but we're not, should I ask this of the law director?
I have even less information about the collection percentage.
Pardon?
I have even less information about the
No, I'm
percentage.
talking about the
Of collection.
percentage. I'm talking about the law that says right now that we're not supposed to be collecting that amount of money. And if it's ruled through the state
We filed a brief yesterday, a
Okay,
end of the court brief with the Ohio Supreme Court to ascertain the legality, the constitutionality of that law, which is at issue because of the conflicts between the various appellate jurisdictions. The law can only be validated, verified by the Ohio Supreme Court. So that's what we're waiting on now. The law is in litigation.
So,
In terms of its constitutionality, we say it's a violation of our home rule authority. We say that it is derogation of the needs of the people to be safe, to be secure, and for their welfare.
so, in the meantime, if they overturn it, we would have to pay this money back.
No, the law hasn't been validated yet.
If it's validated. If it's validated, if it's validated, and we've been collecting that. And
That would be a separate lawsuit, definitely.
okay, that's what I want.